Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. I want you to imagine a moment in time when a young actress, barely into her teens, steps into a world she didn't quite understand. The set, the lights, the camera ready. That was Schuyler Fisk when she landed a role in a film adaptation of a beloved children's series. Little did she know then, decades later, that the film she had made would grow into a cult favorite, an unexpected legacy, a part of viewers' memories and identities. Now, 30 years on, she looks back and her reflections reveal not only nostalgia, but meaning, growth, identity, and how one early experience can echo across a lifetime. When Schuyler Fisk says that she is recognized more for that than literally anything, she means the film The Babysitter's Club, the movie adaptation of the iconic 90s book series. She was just 11 when she took on the role of Christy Thomas, stepping into a world where millions of readers had already imagined these characters, had lived them in their minds. The weight of expectation might intimidate anyone, but Fisk seems to treat it as a gift, an anchor in her career. She recalls that the film was more than just a job or a shoot. It was formative. She's spoken about how, even now, she and her castmates maintain deep, lasting bonds. That sense of connection seeps into her reflections. Not just, I played this part, but I shared this life. That early experience intersects with identity. Child actor, early recognition, a piece of cultural memory. She admits with surprise that the role defines how many people know her. During a recent weekend in Nashville, she was recognized twice, in the span of one day, with fans saying, "You were Christy." She jokes that she expects references to Orange County or something more recent, but instead, her early performance holds more weight in the public imagination. That's telling. When an early youthful role remains your strongest brand, it shows how certain stories capture hearts and endure. Fisk doesn't treat this as a burden, though. She embraces it. She says it's wild, but it's cool to be remembered in that way. For her, that film was part of many people's childhoods, and now those same people share it with their kids. That continuity, across generations, gives her words a sense of reverence. For those who grew up reading the books, the film is more than adaptation. It's memory, nostalgia, identity. She also acknowledges that she was very young, just a kid, so many parts of the experience were beyond her full comprehension. Playing Christy meant being responsible to a fan base, being careful with what you say, how you behave. It meant stepping into a role that carries expectations, but also trust. Looking back, I imagine she sees that as a blessing and a responsibility. Over time, Fisk's career expanded. She acted in films like Orange County, Snow Day, I'm Reed Fish, Restless, The Best of Me, and more. She also built a music career, writing and performing songs, collaborating, touring. But that early film remains anchored in her narrative. It shows how a single project, early on, can become a touchstone to which the rest of one's career returns. She has observed how time changes perspective. What might have felt small or overwhelming then becomes meaningful now. The film's cult status, the frequent recognition, the emotional resonance, these are gifts that time helps you decode. That's part of the reflection. It's fascinating that Fisk still sees echoes of that child self in her current work. She identifies with characters who try to balance caring for others and honoring their own desires, people who sometimes carry burdens quietly. She's drawn to roles that have sweetness, but also complexity. She's no longer just a child actor, she's a woman with experience, with music, with stories, and the early film stays with her, not as shackles but as a companion. There's also the sense of legacy, not just personal, but communal. Fisk mentions how other cast members, fans, and children sharing the film create a living history. The movie becomes part of collective memory. She recognizes that people attach their own lives, their own emotions, to that work. That gives it weight beyond any single performance. She also acknowledges the fragility and randomness of recognition. She says being recognized shocks her. She doesn't take for granted that people remember. She treats it with humility. That humility underscores a larger truth. Creative work often lives in unpredictable ways. As she looks back, Fisk sometimes sees the youthful ambition, the self-doubt, the wonder of it all. She feels gratitude for being part of something that continues to matter. She feels gratitude for the people who continue to keep it alive, fans, co-stars, and viewers. That's influence, something you build only imperfectly and hope endures. Now, as she plays more adult roles, as she layers her art with music, writing, maturity, that early film becomes a lens. It helps her see where she began, how far she's gone, and what continues to move audiences. It becomes a bridge between then and now. One of the most poignant observations is how that early role interacts with identity. In interviews, Fisk says she is recognized more as Christie than for any of her later work. But she doesn't resent it. She sees it as part of her story. It's a reminder of who she was and who she is now. That duality, child/artist, is always with her. She also points out that playing Christie was not just about a central character, she was part of a group. The Babysitters Club is a story about friendship, community, collaboration. That cooperative spirit resonates with her current creative life. She values collaboration in music, in acting, in ensemble work. That early lesson, "I am not alone, I'm part of something," echoes. When fans approach her and say, "I grew up loving that movie," they bring their own stories. She hears their lives in what they share. That emotional resonance is a reminder of the power of storytelling, that someone's childhood connection to a story can last decades. Fisk treats that not as power, but as privilege. She's also candid about how rare it is to make something that lasts. Many projects fade. Many films are forgotten. Many roles are lost in time. But the Babysitters Club remains. That rarity magnifies what it means. She doesn't assume it. She acknowledges how fortunate she is. That humility shows in her reflections. At the same time, she is not defined solely by that early success. She's built a life beyond it. She is an artist, a musician, and a collaborator. But the film remains a beacon, one that guides, grounds, and reminds. She returns to it not because she has to, but because she wants to. It's a part of her that she still finds love in. She also often notes how the cast stayed in touch, how they maintained a text chain, how they've celebrated together over time. Those relationships become a living reflection of what the film meant beyond the screen. Friendship, support, shared memories. In her reflections, she sometimes pauses to acknowledge losses too. She mentions that one of the cast members who played Claudia Kishi passed away in 2021. That memory sharpens the emotional edge. It shows how shared youth, art, friendship, mortality all intersect. The film, the people, the memories, they carry weight. And yet, through all this, she keeps moving. She takes new roles. She writes more songs. She embraces vulnerability in her art. She sees change as growth. She sees reflection as a way to lean deeper into meaning rather than nostalgia alone. 30 years later, she doesn't see the film as a relic, but as a living thread through her life. A thread that connects the child she was, the artist she became, and the collaborator she keeps becoming. That thread contains joy, memory, risk, humility. If you listen carefully, her reflections speak to more than the Babysitters Club. They speak to how creative lives evolve, how early experiences leave marks, how identity is both shaped and reshaped by time. They remind us that when we make work, not for fame or prestige, but for connection, we never fully know how it will echo. For Fisk, that film's echoes continue to arrive. She receives them with humility, gratitude, and curiosity. When she says people are still showing the movie to their kids, she means that the work continues to live, to grow, and amass new meaning. She sees younger generations discover it for the first time, and older generations revisit it with memory. That cycle means the film keeps breathing. That is the magic she contemplates. In these reflections, she doesn't present answers or polish. She shares a journey. She admits surprise, insecurity, gratitude, wonder. And through it, we can hear how a creative life is less about control and more about resonance, less about certainty and more about presence. So as you hear her voice, imagine her younger self stepping into that set, filled with hope and nervousness. Imagine decades of songs, roles, meetings, auditions, joy, doubt. And imagine how that one moment, Christy, the Babysitter's Club, became a touchstone she carries forward, not as a burden but as a companion. Because at the end of the day, maybe the truest legacy of art is that it becomes part of people's lives, and in that exchange, we all become part of something bigger. Schuyler Fisk's reflections remind us, creative work continues when it lives inside hearts and memories. 30 years later, that film is still alive, and she is still walking forward, shaped by it, moving beyond it, finding new stories to tell, grounded in the love of what first drew her in. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.